This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast. And I think you're all going to love our next guest for sure. This is somebody that I've managed to get to know and had the privilege to know for a number of years now. And I can't wait for you, our global community, to hear her testimony about the journey into launching her own recruitment business. And I know that from the feedback we get a number of people who are on that journey themselves. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to our community today, Victoria Forshaw, who is the founder of 4Sure Recruitment. Do you see what I did there in the intro, Vic?
It was really good. Thanks. I don't think I could beat it.
It's like the pun, it's like when people say, because my business is Key Recruitment, which is spelled Q-U-I, and I always often do the pun of the key, as in the key in the door. So a little pun there. So I obviously know you very well indeed, but there'll be plenty of people listening and clicking on now to listen and watch who don't know who you are and what you do. So give us an overview, a little potted history of what you are about.
So obviously I'm Victoria from 4Sure Recruitment, manufacturing and engineering specialist, and I've got 15 years industry knowledge within manufacturing and engineering. So mainly specialise at the moment across energy, nuclear, oil and gas, defence, those types of things. It seems to be a very, very buoyant market right now. Skill short.
That's
With
what we like, still short.
There are those unicorns out there, and we're doing really well with the placements of those people, so in the skilled sector.
Amazing. And you're based in the Northwest, for anyone who isn't picking up on your northern tones. Do you just focus on the northern market, or do you cover a broader market?
So at the moment we're reaching out a little bit further with our geography. So based on the Wirral, we hotspot with Chester and Liverpool locations. But we are spreading our wings and going a little bit further south. So I've just onboarded a couple of clients in Bristol, just south of Birmingham as well. And there's a couple of contracts coming up on the south coast as well. So lots going on.
Fantastic. There'll be plenty of our listeners over in America going, where's Bristol? Where's the Wirral? So I always try and mimic an American accent. And that's fantastic. And that, from I think you launched at the back end of 2023 in your first year of trading to launch out into different.
Yes.
Right.
We went live on November 28th last year. Bit of an odd time to launch, but I kind of just wanted to use the month of December to just build my reputation up and just get the whereabouts of we are here, we're ready to trade, we're ready to hit the market and hit the floor running come January, because everyone goes into a bit of a decline come December, and everyone wants to unwind a bit for Christmas. So we kind of use that time to just get our feet in the door with a lot of companies, which was nice. And we started invoicing on the second week of Jan, so it was good.
Incredible. I actually think, before we sort of go a little bit deeper into why you launched, I think December is a brilliant time to do your client relationship management, whether it's business development, whether it's physically going and seeing clients if it's feasible. And I think, you think about your mindset in December, most people have that break. Most people are fortunate enough to have that 1 to 2 week break at Christmas. So actually, I think people are really receptive. They're really friendly. Their guard's probably down more. They're probably not as likely to be going out of the office. They're probably sat having mince pies in their Christmas jumper. So I think it's a brilliant time to do business development and client calls.
And that's exactly it. I mean, I've always been pretty old-fashioned in how I do my sales and my approach into clients. I'm not someone who's just sit behind a keyboard and just tap away and things. And I also can't sit and just hammer the phones day in, day out. I like to be in front of people.
Pause that. I want to come back to that. That's really important.
Okay.
Don't let me forget to talk about that. So let's just go back a little step as to, for those listening, because there will be people listening that maybe have got, 10, 15 years like yourself, or even maybe 5 years experience, that are thinking, what made you do it? What made you go and launch? So can you just tap us into your mindset of whatever point in 2023 you thought, I'm going to go and do this for myself?
Yeah, I mean, I've been toying with the idea for quite some time. I'd probably say the catalyst with me settling down and having children. It's not something I necessarily had as a big vision plan for Vic and her career, and it wasn't certainly on the cards, so to say, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think it got to a point where I came back from my first maternity leave and I went back into a business, and everything that I'd strived and built up for so many years had pretty much dissolved and gone, because there wasn't any traction there whilst I was away maintaining the business for me. And I was just like, you know, I've given my heart and soul for 6, 7 years to building these 2 branches, and then I was like, I don't think I can do it again. So I tried spreading my wings and taking a bigger role, and then I got pregnant with my little boy. COVID hit,
Mm.
furlough, maternity, everything kind of just snowballed into one. And I just had to reevaluate. And I was like, life's too short to try and put all this pressure upon yourself to be an amazing mummy and also still be that career person and driven person that you know you are.
Mm.
And I found myself like leaving the kids in nursery, dropping them off at 7:30 in the morning and picking them up at 6:30 at night, which I know probably resonates with so many people. But the anxiety and the guilt that
Mm.
it filled me with, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I'd say my children are the catalyst for doing it. Um, Obviously, my little boy last year, those who follow my business will know he went through a bit of a health scare. Everything's okay now, but I just needed to know that I can go to his appointments and not feel guilty about taking time out of somebody else's business, but also not be sat in a hospital with my son, clock watching, knowing, oh, I need to be logging back on at some point because they're going to be wondering what I'm doing. I just didn't sit right with me. So that was the main catalyst was let's go and give it a go. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
And look at you now. You were expanding
Look
into
at me
different
now.
businesses and some really exciting markets. And I really appreciate you sharing such a personal part of your story with us, because it wasn't just professional reasons that led you to this point. It was actually largely personal reasons, which there seems to be a theme
Yeah,
this season, and I don't know what it is, but if I think about some of the previous guests we've had on so far, I think that we need to talk about this more as founders of businesses, that very often the reason we found our own businesses is because of our personal lives. It's actually not because of
yeah,
professional reasons. It's not because we want to take over the world. It's actually largely because the personal side of our lives are so important, and that's the dominant reason that we are enduring in recruitment, because it blends very well. But I think it should be talked about a lot more. So so in terms of you launching your own business, obviously,
yeah.
I don't know whether, I hope I'm not breaching any confidence here, but I was a part of that journey with you, and you decided to go down the community route with Recruitment Founders Club. So just talk me through, for you now, nearly a year in, which will be amazing when you get to that first year. We'll have to celebrate. What made you decide to go with a community rather than just doing it for yourself from your back bedroom, for example?
I mean, obviously, me and you, we've got history. You've supported me on my career journey over the years, and we've got to know each other. And I think because you knew the type of person I am, and you know, it seemed like a really good fit. I had conversations with friends who'd gone it alone and they'd set up their own businesses and said, I've got this opportunity with Recruitment Founders Club. I'd met with Greg and Lindsay and just found them really, really easy to talk to, which I think is so hard to come by in recruitment now. Sometimes you approach new people and it's very salesy, gift of the gab, and that's just not who I am. I'm very
Me
much,
neither.
yeah, what you see is what you get. Not everybody likes me, and that's okay. I'm okay with that because I don't necessarily want to work with every single business out there. I want to work with people who want to work with me and we can collaborate with. And I think the deciding factor for me of partnering with Greg and Lindsay was knowing that I've got a community aspect around me, but also knowing I've got a level of guidance and support from people I trust and who are going to steer me in the right direction. So I'm not setting up a business and figuring out, oh my God, at 12 o'clock at night, I'm still trying to create a website and do my marketing page and who's my accountant because I don't know any of that. And it's don't get me wrong, it's not been easy. I've still struggled with certain mindsets because I'm not necessarily a financially minded person. I'm very much an organized person, but from the financial sides, I am back and forth with my accountant quite a lot. And I'm like, I've really got this question. Is it a silly one? And they're like, no question is a silly question. So to have
Absolutely.
that handheld opportunity through the process has been an absolute dream for me, and I've really relished on having that support network around me. It's the community and being able to take control of my own process, my own work hours, and things like that has just been a luxury. So
I think, and there are, this isn't a pitch for Recruitment Founders Club for anyone that's rolling their eyes, because as you all know, if you're listening and you've been a listener for a long time, I don't like the whole pitch thing on a podcast. This is about sharing people's stories and being open and honest about their journeys. But I think it's important that wherever you're sat listening to this, there are communities out there. There are people who create joint ventures, who do incubation companies. There are loads of ways, but it's on my profile. I'm a board advisor to Recruitment Founders Club, and the reason that I was attracted to what Greg and Lindsay have positioned, which is what Vic's talking about, is that I think very often you can feel quite isolated physically and emotionally as a founder of a recruitment business, because you have so many hats that you have to wear. And the fact is, if you are a very agile, capable and competent business developer, which I think you have to be as a founder, you're probably not interested in doing the accounting or the admin or creating a website. You've probably got loads of ideas, but you just want to go and delegate that to somebody else. Yeah. But you're worried about the cost. Maybe you don't know who to trust, that you might give your money to somebody and they run off with it, or it's crap, and then you go, what do I do? So I think if I was to turn the clock back, because I celebrate my 19th anniversary as a business in October 2024. So we launched October in 2005, and mine was actually all about, I'd just become a mummy. And my employer at the time, who were fantastic, by the way, I never say anything derogatory about Fee Farah Jones, which is now Aspire Group. There was no such thing as flexible working, and certainly not returning as a leader. It was like I wasn't able to do part-time. So I launched because I was like, I ain't putting my kid in nursery for 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, which is what I would have had to do. I thought I'll just do it around childminders, playgroup, my mum, whatever. So same driver as you. And I think I don't think anything's really changed in 19 years. From that point of view, I think what has changed, and what I wish was around in 2005, were communities like Recruitment Founders Club. And it just wasn't a thing. People were guarded. People didn't want to share information. If you went to a mentor or a coach like a Greg or Lindsay or you and me now, you'd have probably wanted to be, charged. You would have just gone, oh, well, I'm not going to do that for nothing. You'll have to per hour kind of thing. So I think it's really critical to think about that if you're listening now. And I think, what it's allowed you to do, Vic, is to focus on the good bits, which we're going to come back to now, which is the going out and seeing clients. Now, you said just before, wasn't flippantly, you don't sit at your phone all day, you don't like phone bashing. So what do you actually do then? Well, how do you go and win business?
I just go door knocking. And do you know what? Over the years, my old management have said to me, we don't know how you've got such a brass neck on you for doing it. Like, how do you do it? And I'm just like, it's just me. Like, I think you can sit behind a desk. You can, don't get me wrong, I do make client phone calls from home once in a while. It's not all the time. And I certainly couldn't do it for an 8-hour day if we're having a sales day. That's not a sales day for me. Is going out in my car, loads of little goodie bags made up. Like, I've actually got some here, my little
little
sweet
sweetie
bags.
bags. Little sweeties.
It's so much harder for someone to slam a door in your face than it is to hang up on the phone from a receptionist. And trying to get past those gatekeepers for all those years. I mean, my sales training 15 years ago was, here's the phone book, start at A and work your way through to Z. And that was my training. And I was like, I can't. I think had I stuck to that, I wouldn't still be in recruitment.
Yeah.
So
and we've got the thought that now. I mean, anyone listening who's got less than 10 years experience, you're probably thinking, what, we're talking about a yellow pages. We're talking
what's a phone book? But it was I just go door knocking. I Google map my industrial estate or manufacturing area that I want to focus on. So I don't just go out sporadically and just think I'll drive here today and see what's around. But I'll pick a specific area.
So strategizing, you sit down, you go, right, where am I going to go today physically? You look at who you're going to go and knock on to.
Yeah.
And then you set out with your bag.
And then I just set out. Yeah. So I'll pick maybe 5 companies to say I'm focused on these 5 companies this afternoon, and I'm going to go and see them because I've got candidates that would be really good for them. And from a speculative process, I've maybe not heard back because they've gone into an infos mailbox or a sales mailbox or something. So I'll go and door knock with those companies in mind. But at the same time, every time I go out, I can go to the same industrial estate 3 times in 1 month. And every time I go to that area, there's new businesses that have popped up. So whilst I'm driving around, I'm making a note of all the new companies that are there. I'm getting them onto my database. And it's just a really, really easy way of just knocking on these companies that are brand new to the area saying, "Hi, I'm Vic. I was at a meeting around the corner today. Here's my business card. It'd be great to see if there's any
Right.
level of
And then
support."
and you're a real person. Vic, you might not be able to answer this because we hadn't prepared for this bit of the conversation, because I do like to keep things really fluid, but I'm loving where this is going. Do you know, let's say for every 10 companies you go and do that to, how many people will, out there, that 10, how many people will actually become a client?
98% of my companies are all converted from door knocking.
Oh my
Easy.
giddy aunt.
Yeah. Yeah, easy. People buy from people. It's a personal response, and you might not speak to the hiring manager on the day, but you build a rapport all of a sudden with that gatekeeper who never puts your phone calls through, and then you'll say, "Well, can I take your email address, Maureen, please?" And then I'll send you a message. And as long as you follow up with that, because the follow up's really important. So when you do get back to your desk, you've got that 24-hour golden window to do that follow up. Otherwise, Maureen's going to forget about you. And
I've just had such a eureka. I'm covered in goosebumps because I can't remember the last time I interviewed a founder that actually does this. We believe hugely at going out and meeting people, but I've never used it as a business development tool. I used to do it to headhunt candidates actually back in the day, because I did engineering, you know that, back in the 90s, and I would literally walk around Birmingham on my lunch break and go and find the HVAC engineers, the maintenance engineers, because they'd have vans, and I'd literally
yeah.
knock on the windows that we sat there having their sandwiches. I'd knock on this, the 20
Hello.
something, 20 something bolshy woman, and they're like, "Oh, you're right, love. Yeah, I'm a recruiter and I want to headhunt you for a job." And they would always come into my office. I'm not joking, 100% like you. So I
Yeah.
just thought the eureka moment I've just had is that you'd have to have your head in the sand to not think about what is AI going to do to disrupt my market. And you have just nailed how you are not going to be replaced by AI, haven't you? Because there's no AI or machine out there that can replace a human walking in going, "I'm so pleased to meet you. Thank you so much for, taking my call the other day. I'm really keen to get to know you, MD." And,
Yeah.
gatekeepers are, the way you treat your gatekeepers will get fed back to your decision makers. And anyone that's being taught how to cold call and business development on the phone,
Yeah.
do not underestimate the relationship you need to make with your gatekeepers. What Vic said here is gold dust.
It really is. I mean, Maureen Miss Receptionist, they're not all called Maureen, obviously, but you know,
Ryan,
they're more receptive. So when you follow up with them the next day or the same afternoon, they'll be like, "It was so lovely to meet with you," and they're like, "Thanks very much. Those biscuits have gone down a treat," kind of thing. And it does. And I was like, "Whilst I've got you, I've got a few CVs. Do you mind waving them under your boss's nose?" And they're like, "Absolutely." And they go to the top of the pile. So it does work.
it really does.
Um,
Thank
yeah,
you
it's
for that.
personable.
We're going to call this the for sure effect. For sure, you're going to get business development out of this. And I want anyone listening now that goes and does this today, go and try this in the next month. We want you to feed back to Vic. All the contact details are going to be on the episode, and me, and tag in the Recruiters Recruitment podcast, that if you have done this and then won business from it, we need to know that it's worked in your sector. I don't see how, if you are not, I mean, unless you're recruiting overseas, which I reckon is probably a little bit hard, but you can still do this, I think, through, making things personalized. It's still that mindset to just
Yeah.
make yourself stand out as a human being. So I absolutely love that. Now, before I let you go, you talked about your key motivations being your children, and that, your family, is the most important thing. And you alluded to the fact that, the priority will always be the children. But how do you ensure, as a founder and business owner and day-to-day recruiter, how do you keep it all going? Like, how successful are you at juggling everything, basically?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a pro at it by any means, because life happens and that you get thrown a curveball once in a while. But it's I get to pick my own work hours. The clients that I'm meeting and working with at the moment, and my candidates, they all know that it's my business. And if they hear a kid in the background, like, "I'm sorry, working from home today," and I'm just very open and honest with it with my companies, so they know that I've got the kids in tow, or we've just had summer holidays and things like that. But now the kids are back in school, it is a bit easier, and there is a bit more of a free flow, but it's allowing me to do pickups and drop-offs. I block out my calendar. My calendar is plan, 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 plan. It's color coded. So I know red, I'm out the office. I'm with the kids. And then once they come home, they're set up, we've done homework, they've got a snack, they're chilling, playing. I can come into the office and get another hour or two done once my husband's home. And we're managing to tag team it that way. But there are days that I don't work at all in the middle of the week, and I don't feel guilty for it because of an evening I might work and pick things up, or on a weekend I'll pick things up when I've got a spare afternoon. So long gone are the days of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, you must be at your desk. Everything is on the phone, everything is in your hand. Everybody now in the world we live in always has a phone and emails glued to them. So I work remotely, it's all on the cloud, so I can log on anywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think, everything that you've said that won't necessarily apply to absolutely everybody, but it will apply to
Yeah,
somebody. And I think, I think it's also, we're not promoting toxic working habits here of 24/7. You're very clearly setting out time for you, your family, your children, I presume for yourself as well. I know you go to the
yeah,
gym. I think it's really important to say that. I diarise my gym time. I diarise my learning.
same.
I've just started NLP training, so I've diarised that. That's as important to me as doing this call with you or as meeting a new client on Teams, for example. So I think actually using your diary for yourself and color coding, it's a really great way to do that, is to ensure that you give everything equal priority, including yourself and yourself.
Yeah.
That's really useful. And
Yeah,
really,
it does, it works. I mean, I've wanted to get back to the gym for so long, and now I was in a position where I think back in June or July, I managed to rejoin, and I've got an off-peak gym membership, so I can go. I'm not going in the early mornings. I'm not going of an evening when I've got the kids. I'm going on my lunch break in the middle of the day, even if it's for only half an hour. But I'm using that time to escape, and my out of office is on for an hour a day. Because why should you feel guilty for taking a lunch break?
no, 100% agree. I think there's been so many brilliant takeaways, and I knew you'd be a fabulous guest. And I hope this will be the first of many that you appear on. And you have been an absolute joy to watch. And I really hope you flourish and continue to succeed because you are a wonderful human being. But thank you so much for joining us on the
Yeah.
Recruitment Podcast.